Dear students, today we are going to do a lesson from class 12 English supplementary book Vistas, and the name of the lesson is On the Face of It, written by Susan Hill. Now let us first understand what the title means, what this phrase on the face of it means. On the face of it means from outer appearance. For example, very often we say, on the face of it he looks to be a very shrewd man, but actually he is very kind. That is, in appearance he looks like a shrewd person, but in reality he is a very nice person. In the same way, very often we say, on the face of it, this problem seems to be very easy, but when I started solving it, it's not so easy. So, in appearance and in reality. So the title means, on the face of it means from outer appearance. Now the theme of this lesson is importance of positive attitude in life. This lesson is on positive thinking. And another thing that comes out of this is that appearances may be deceptive. Appearances means what appears from outside may not be true, may be deceptive, may be deceiving. What appears may be different from what reality is. Now, the play deals with loss and sense of isolation and how one should deal with it in life. Now, this is a play actually, and the characters in the play are Derek, who is called as Derry in the play. He is a 14-year-old boy. He looks ugly because of his burnt face. One side of his face is burnt and he looks ugly. And this boy is very conscious about his burnt face. He thinks that people look at him and they get afraid of him. So he says, because of this burnt face, he is a complex. So he doesn't want to meet anybody, he doesn't want to talk to anybody, and he keeps himself withdrawn, he avoids people, and he has become self-contained in his own thoughts. He is defiant, defies himself, protects himself so that people should not see him. He has a longing for love, but this boy is a boy with self-respect, because when he hears people calling him a poor boy, he says, I don't want to be called a poor boy. That means he is a boy with self-respect. And he has a deep longing for love and concern from others. Then we have another character in the play, Mr. Lamb, who is an old man with a tin leg. This man also is suffering from a loss. He has lost one leg, so he has a tin leg. He has a big house, a big garden, a lot of apples grow there. He is lonely, and he is lonely from outer appearance. He looks like a mysterious person. He looks as if he is a mysterious man, but actually he is kind, friendly, and a man with positive thinking. Now, what happens in the play is that Mr. Lamb was sitting in his garden behind the plants, behind the bushes, and Derry happens to pass from there. So he just climbed the wall, seeing that it was a big garden. He just looked inside the garden, then he felt that as if there was nobody, so he enters the garden. So as he was walking into the garden, as he enters the garden, suddenly he hears somebody, and it was Mr. Lamb, who told him, be careful, mind the apples. Because some apples had fallen down due to the wind. They were windfalls, crab apples. So he told this boy to be careful, because otherwise he would fall. He said, you may not trip, you would fall. So when he hears somebody, this Derry, he immediately tries to go back because he doesn't want to face anybody. But Mr. Lamb's friendly nature, unmindful nature, and his very comfortable way of talking to him made this boy stop. He became comfortable with him and he stayed. Then Derry started telling about himself. He says, I look very ugly, people are afraid of me, When I look at myself in the mirror, I am afraid of myself. So he talks like that because he's conscious. He tells this man that he doesn't want to stay because people are afraid of him. So at this, Mr. Lamb says, no need to go away from here on my account. You are welcome to my garden. So he starts telling him that he makes nice candy. He makes sweets out of these raw apples. So he said, during the day I will climb a ladder, pluck those apples. Now this boy, Derry, he observes that this man has changed the topic. Rather than talking about his burnt face, he has started talking about the apples and making sweets and candies. So he said, why have you changed the topic like the others? That means this boy, Derry, wants that Mr. Lamb should talk to him about his burnt face. He should ask him about it. So this boy gets agitated when Mr. Lamb talks something else. So when he says that, even why have you changed the topic? So Mr. Lamb tells him, he said, okay, you want to tell about your burnt face? Did you get it burned? Did your face get burnt due to fire? He said, no, it got burnt due to acid. So like this, Derry reveals about himself. He says that people are afraid of him and he has an ugly face. People talk about him that he is a poor boy and only a mother can love a boy like this who has such a burnt face. So he says, I get pained at all that. Now Mr. Lamb, here Derry, when he enters Mr. Lamb's garden, after this he reveals about himself, tells about himself. Now Mr. Lamb's positive thinking. Mr. Lamb tells him that even I have a thin leg. Children call me Lamy Lamb. I don't mind it. It goes, he says. So he says that even he should not mind. That is what he wants to convey to him. He said, I don't mind the children calling me Lamy Lamb. So he says that he has weeds, he has a lot of useless plants in his garden. He said, look at the end of the garden near the wall. What is there? Derry says, I see rubbish over there. There are weeds. Mr. Lamb says that they are not weeds. For me, they are my plants. They are growing. They have also flowers. They are like the other plants. So I don't call them as weeds. What does it mean? Mr. Lamb here gives an example of his positive thinking. So he says that those weeds for me are not weeds. They are my plants growing as you and I. Then Mr. Lamb talks to him about his bees. He said, I have a beehive in my garden. People say bees buzz, but for me, bees hum. Humming for me is singing. Another example of Mr. Lamb's positive thinking. So like that, when Mr. Lamb was talking to Derry about his positive thinking, he is making Derry feel comfortable, and a change starts taking place in Derry's thinking too. So at this, Derry now expresses himself and tells Mr. Lamb about his emotional pain. He says that people talk about me, when they look at my face, they look at my burnt face, they talk in whispers. The other day there were two women in the street. They looked at me, then they got away, they talked in whispers. One of them said, look at this boy, what a burnt face he has. Only a mother can love such a face. So he says, I get pained. At this, Mr. Lamb says that people talk so many things. Why do you only hear things which are being talked about you? The world has got a whole face. There are so many things in the world to see. People don't have only your face to see. What Mr. Lamb wants to convey is that Derry should avoid the people talking about him. Rather, they talk so many other things. Why only he pays attention to such things? He should avoid. That is the message Mr. Lamb tries to give to Derry. Then Derry says that there was, when I got my face burnt, I was sent to the hospital. There, when I was treated and I was about to go home, two women were talking. They said that this boy should remain here only. All the people with burnt faces, all those burnt people should remain there with the other burnt people. And then he says, she means to say that those who have broken legs will remain with the people with broken legs only. What kind of a world it will be? It will completely be a different world, but it will be the same world. He said that woman meant that. At this, Mr. Lamb again tries to console him by telling him not to pay attention to all these things. Now, after listening to Derry's emotional pain, Mr. Lamb talks to Derry about his own positive thinking. He also tells him that he likes rain when it is raining, he likes sunshine, he has a big house, and he doesn't have any curtains on his doors and windows of the house, because when it is rain, he wants to see rain. When it is sunshine, he wants to see sunshine. So he tells him that he doesn't have any curtains on the doors and windows of his house. Indirectly, it is indicating that Mr. Lamb has an open mind. There are no curtains on the doors of his mind. He is open to friendship to all. So when Derry is listening to Mr. Lamb, slowly the change starts taking place in Derry. Then he talks to him, shows his concern to Mr. Lamb about his tin leg. He says, does your leg, does tin hurt you? He says, tin doesn't does the tin leg hurt you? He said, no, it doesn't hurt. It only hurts where it stops. So he says that he has pain only due to the change of weather or when it rains, etc. Now Derry tells him, he says, at least you are better off than the rest of the world. There are so many people who are deaf, blind, dumb, and he tells Mr. Lamb, at least it is only the tin leg that you have, only the leg that you have lost, but you should be thankful to God that you are not blind, you are not deaf, you are not dumb. You are better off than the others. Now Mr. Lamb realizes that Derry is talking positive. So he feels nice that the change is taking place in him. Then Derry tells Mr. Lamb that you were talking about plucking these apples. You said that you will climb the ladder and pluck those raw apples, crab apples, and make sweets and candy. He said, I can help you. He said, I will help you. But first I will have to go home and tell my mother, because I will get late. If I stay here and help you, I will get late. So first I will go to my mother and tell her, and then I will come back. At this, Mr. Lamb says, he says that you too will not come back. There are other children who came earlier. They also said that, but nobody came back. Their mothers never allowed, because people in the surroundings had a very wrong opinion about Mr. Lamb. They thought that he was a strange man and they would not send their children to his garden. So he told Derry that even you will not come. Derry says, no, I will go and come. If I don't come back, I will not be able to go anywhere in the world. And he tells Mr. Lamb that you talk peculiar things, you talk strange things. Nobody had talked to me earlier like that as you have talked. Nobody has made me think the way you have made me think. So he says that I will come back. Now Derry runs off to his home in order to tell his mother. When he goes home, he tells his mother that he has to go back to that garden of the old man. The mother gets worried and she gets angry. She tells him, you will not go back. He is a strange man. I will not let you go there. And he's not a good person. But Derry doesn't listen to his mother. He does not care for what mother was saying. He rushed back, starts running towards Mr. Lamb's garden. In the meanwhile, Mr. Lamb had climbed the ladder, and the ladder was supported against the tree, and he was plucking the apples one by one. But what happens when Derry reached the gate of the garden, he saw that that ladder had started shifting. The branch of the tree was breaking. So he immediately shouted from there, wait, I am coming, you will fall. And he rushes towards the tree because he knew that the ladder was shifting and in time it would fall and Mr. Lamb would also fall. So when before Derry reached over there, the branch of the tree broke and the ladder fell down. Mr. Lamb with it, he also fell down. And Derry reached over there. Mr. Lamb was no more. Derry was very sad. He started crying. He said, because now he realized that this man only was important for him in his life and he is no more. So when we see in the end that now Derry is another Mr. Lamb, that is, He is a new boy now. He has a positive thinking. Mr. Lamb has died, but he has brought the big change in Derry's thinking. And Derry says that if he told his mother that if I don't go back to that garden, I will not be able to go away anywhere in the world, because now he has come to know the way to live. So that is why he comes back. So we see that this boy changes due to Mr. Lamb. Mr. Lamb, with his friendly talk, unmindful nature, and with his positive thinking, brought the complete change in Derry's thinking. Now Derry has decided to live in the world and decided to take the world in a positive way.